As I get older, I find that I treasure my time by myself more and more. The luxury of not having to care or worry about anyone else, to not have to be nice, talk to anyone, or have to explain myself. I absolutely love my me time moments, but I also realize that too much me time can leave me feeling alone and isolated. True secret is to find the balance, and this is what we will be discussing today. How do we use the me time to empower us as we're stepping into the powerful second stage of life? Welcome to Her Second Stage, the podcast dedicated to inspiring successful women in the next stage of their lives. I'm Hilda, and I'm excited to share the lessons I've learned as I transitioned into my second stage. Join me on this exciting journey. Remember, no matter where you've been, the best is yet to come. We cannot have a discussion around me time without talking about isolation and solitude, because these conversations are integral to each other. Me time sits in the intersection of two experiences of isolation and solitude, but offers a more proactive and restorative approach to self-care. I have an episode talking about self-care and self-love. If you have any curiosity around those topics, please listen to that episode. The benefits of me time is it would be a preventative measure against isolation. When you schedule regular me time, you create opportunities to focus on your own needs and emotions, preventing the downward spiral of isolation. Also, during me time, you can ask yourself, am I withdrawing? What am I feeling? Am I overwhelmed? Am I lonely? This awareness will allow you to address the root cause before it deepens the isolation. For example, a woman experiencing her children moving away as per the typical empty nester experience might schedule an afternoon to explore a hobby or take herself out to lunch. This small act of self-care can interrupt feeling of loneliness by bringing joy and purpose to her day. Me time is also a gateway to healthy solitude. Me time is an intentional practice that helps you reframe solitude or alone time as a gift rather than an absence. Me time gives you the space to reset and replenish so you can return to your relationships and responsibilities with a clear mind and an open heart. The benefits of me time include to discover what genuinely brings you joy, allowing space for reflection and creativity, and it will help you experience fulfillment from being other than doing. Me time also promotes self-discovery. For women over 45, me time can be a critical opportunity to explore who we are outside of the traditional roles like caregiver, spouse, or employee. If you don't have all the external distractions, you can really reconnect with your forgotten hobbies, interests, or dreams that aligns with your evolving self. Me time is a tool for balance. Whereas isolation can make you feel lonely and solitude often feels too intense, me time acts as a middle ground, a short, manageable period to focus on yourself without removing yourself from the world entirely. It also allows you to enjoy solitude in digestible doses while ensuring you remain connected with others. Let me give you an example. You might start your morning with 20 minutes of journaling, which is me time, and then follow it with a coffee date with a friend, ensuring that both solitude and connection are nurtured. Me time is a tool to build emotional resistance. By prioritizing regular me time, you develop the inner strength to weather challenges without feeling dependent on external validation. It's the quiet moments of self-care that you cultivate self-awareness, confidence, and gratitude. Some practical tips for effective me time. First, treat me time as being sacred, non-negotiable, and put it as a date with yourself in your calendar. Keep it simple. Me time doesn't have to be elaborate. A short walk for 15 minutes, some deep breathing, grounding, reading a book can work wonders. Listen to your needs. Ask yourself, what do I need right now? Is it rest, moments to reflect? Do you need fun, creativity, tailor your me time to create those needs. The fourth is to practice me time without guilt. Remind yourself that taking time for yourself is not selfish. It's essential for your well-being and your relationships. Number 5, experiment. Try different activities to discover what best recharges you. Meditation, gardening, painting, staring at the window, dancing, jumping, singing. This is your time, and you can literally do whatever gives you joy with your own time. So you got a lot of information there around me time, the benefits of it, and how to incorporate it in your life. But let's look at it as the bridge between isolation and solitude. Although isolation and solitude are experiences we all face, they couldn't be more different in their impact on our lives. Understanding these differences is key to navigating the second stage with grace, growth, and fulfillment. When me time leads to isolation, it could lead to loneliness and separation. I want to look at how to practice solitude in a way that uplifts rather than isolates. Isolation often sneaks up on us. It might begin with something as innocent as withdrawing after a tough day or pulling back from the social interactions because we feel misunderstood. But left unchecked, isolation can turn into a quiet storm that leaves us feeling untethered. Let me share a story about a woman I know. I'm just going to call her Karen. Karen had built an incredible career and raised 3 amazing children. But when her youngest left for college, she found herself sitting in a home that was suddenly too quiet. At first, she told herself she was just enjoying the peace, but weeks turned into months, and she realized she hasn't spoken to a close friend in weeks. Isolation begins to weigh on her, not just emotionally, but physically. She feels tired, uninspired, and unworthy of reaching out. This is what isolation does. It traps us in a cycle of disconnection. It's easy to fall into that cycle, especially if you are going through a lot of change. Thinking that you are the only person with stuff, or you don't even want to bother other people with your problems. I know I actually went through phases like that in my life. We all know isolation is not healthy for us, but let's look at 3 reasons why it happens and why it can creep up on us. Empty nest, retirement, divorce, or even menopause can create a sense of separation. Many of us were raised to believe that independence means handling everything on our own, making it hard to reach out when we feel lonely. And we often just fear vulnerability. By admitting that we feel lonely or disconnected can feel like admitting a weakness, even though it's a universal experience. 3 signs that to know that you are probably too isolated is when you feel a lack of energy or motivation to connect to others, when you feel unseen, even when you are surrounded by others, over-reliance on distractions like social media or TV to fill the void. But here's the truth. Isolation is not a failure. It's a signal, a call to reconnect with yourself and then the world around you. I want you to stop for a minute and see if there's moments of time, longer periods of time, where you might be feeling isolated, by checking in on your energy and motivational levels, how you need to be seen, and your reliance on media and social media in particular. Solitude, on the other hand, is intentional. It's about choosing to step away, not because you feel disconnected, but because you want to deepen your connection with yourself. I want to tell you about Maria. After a 30-year corporate career, Maria retired and felt the overwhelming urge to fill her calendar. Lunches, volunteer work, endless errands, anything to avoid the moments of quietness. But one day she decided to spend a weekend alone in her cabin. At first, the silence was deafening. She didn't know what to do with herself. But as the hours passed, she began to journal. Meditate, took a long walk in nature, and by the end of the weekend, she felt more alive and connected than she had in years. That is the power of solitude. It creates a space for clarity, creativity, and healing. If you're able to practice solitude with self-love, the gifts of solitude are tremendous. The gift of self-awareness. Solitude gives you the space to process your emotions and identify what truly matters. The gift of creativity and inspiration. When your mind isn't crowded with distractions, new ideas and perspectives can emerge. A gift of healing and growth. Solitude also allows you to confront past wounds, rewrite limiting beliefs, and move forward with intention. We look at solitude and isolation separately, but let's explore and break down the key differences between the isolation versus solitude. Isolation is reactive and solitude is proactive. Isolation happens when we withdraw out of fear or fatigue. Solitude is a choice we make to nurture ourselves. Isolation depletes and solitude replenishes. Isolation drains your energy and spirit, while solitude fills your cup. Isolation will create walls and solitude create bridges. In isolation, we feel cut off. In solitude, we connect with our inner selves and eventually with others. In our second stage of life, solitude becomes not just important, it is essential. Why? Because this is the time when our identity is evolving. It's no longer defined solely by our roles as a mother, a partner, or a career. You're discovering who you are, your passions, your purpose, your legacy. Solitude offers you the space to redefine yourself, who you are when all the labels falls away. Solitude gives you the courage to answer those questions. Solitude is also a safe place for emotional processing. When you're grieving an empty nest, navigating menopause, or dreaming of what's next, solitude is the space to honor those feelings. Solitude is also a foundation for connection. Paradoxically, the deeper your connection with yourself, the more meaningful your relationships with others will become. So let's get practical. How can we embrace solitude without slipping into isolation? Step 1 is start small. Begin with 10 minutes a day if you're not used to it. Sit in silence, journal, or simply breathe deeply. Create a sacred space. Dedicate a corner of your home to solitude, a cozy chair with a favorite blanket, a view of nature. Engage your senses. Light a candle, play beautiful music, or walk barefoot on the grass. Let your senses anchor you in the moment. These are all great ways to connect with your sensual self as well. Ask powerful questions. What am I feeling right now? What do I need? What brings me joy? After your time alone, reach out to a friend or loved one, share your insights, or simply enjoy their company. This will help you to balance solitude with connection. One of my favorite quotes about solitude comes from May Sarton, who says, "Loneliness is the poverty of self, and solitude is the richness of self." This richness is what we're after in our second stage. Solitude isn't about escaping the world. It's about returning to it, fuller and more alive. I'll leave you with my personal story. The first few weeks and months after I got divorced, my greatest fear was being alone. I hated the weekends when my children was not with me. I did not know what to do with all the space and time. I filled my time with often meaningless activities to stay busy, and I avoid my own thoughts. It was too exhausting. Over time, something shifted, and after learning to practice solitude, I felt the empty space. I felt my doing nothingness. And over time, I started to love it, learned to accept and like myself again. My own time and the sacred space became something profound, as I realized I'm never alone because I have myself, and I learned to love it, and I learned to love my own company. Think about yourself and your own life. How do you use solitude to energize you? When and how will you make sure you carve out some intentional solitude time? And then on the contrary, if you feel isolated and lonely, reach out to someone. Make an effort to get out and be around people, even if you don't feel like it at the time. If connecting with others is difficult for you, go for a walk and connect with nature. Connecting with nature will help you to connect with yourself And when you're truly connected with yourself, it becomes easier to connect with others. Facebook events are a great resource for events in your community and in your area, and most often these events are for free. I personally have found many great events such as breathworks or sound baths that I attended by myself, especially when I was new in Texas after we moved. And while there, I would strike up conversation with other people that totally distracting me from my loneliness, and this shifted me into a more positive state. And when I shifted in this new positive state, I had energy to connect with more people, and more often I had energy to connect with people. The secret is not to wait for someone else to come and save you, to take initiative and do it yourself. You are worth it after all. Thank you for joining me on Her Second Stage and for listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, please share with your friends. Connect with me on social media and leave a review or help more women discover the podcast. Also visit hersecondstage.com for more information about the community and the movement I hope to create. Until next time, remember your second stage is your time to reconnect with yourself, redefine your purpose, and reignite the world within.